Taiwan, I'm Joyce here in Taipei with the latest news. Prepare for more aftershocks. That's the warning from officials here in Taiwan as the country continues to be rattled by tremors 5 days after a magnitude 7.2 earthquake. Since last Wednesday, more than 700 aftershocks of magnitude 3 to 5 have shaken the eastern city of Hualien near the quake's epicenter. Another 27 were over magnitude 5. And while the frequency of aftershocks is slowing down, Taiwan's Central Weather Administration says more larger quakes could still happen. The death toll from Wednesday's quake is now 13, with 6 others still missing. Dozens of people remain trapped by landslides in Taroko National Park, and aftershocks are hampering those rescue efforts. Meanwhile, Taiwan's Coast Guard has located 3 fishers who were reported missing after going out to sea on the morning of the first quake. Their vessel is being escorted back to harbor. Let's get more now from Hualien, which bore the brunt of the earthquake. Sally Jensen is at one of the centers that's handing out supplies to quake victims. Sally, what's the mood like there?
Some 300 families are collecting handouts at this school-turned-disaster relief center in Hualien County, just 20 kilometers from where a magnitude 7.2 earthquake struck just 6 days ago. Many here lost their homes and their belongings due to the massive damage the earthquake caused. And in the following days, the local county government, as well as this Buddhist humanitarian organization, set up tents and provided food and medical care and arranged transport for those affected in Hualien City, the city of 100,000 people. And less than a week into the aftermath, they've already closed the temporary accommodation shelters and are now donating supplies and emergency funds to those unhoused and in need.
Sally, how are people feeling about the speed of recovery?
Well, we spoke to a few of those collecting cash handouts from the local county government this morning, and they told us that they're just happy to be alive. And after what they've been through, any assistance is appreciated. But a local county official told us that it will be a long time before Hualien and its residents can return to full normality. So while the speed of the post-earthquake recovery in Taiwan has been widely reported on, there are many families here whose lives have been rocked, and it will take some time before they can get back on their feet.
Thank you, Sally. That was Sally Jensen reporting live from Hualien County about the relief efforts. Reports suggest that a building damaged in the recent Hualien earthquake may not have been ready for the tremor. Now its residents are demanding answers as they pick up the pieces. John Van Trieste has the story.
Outside the crumbling wreckage of the Tianwangqing building, more than 50 former occupants stage a protest. Only one resident died in the earthquake that toppled the building last week, but the survivors have lost everything. Whatever possessions they couldn't carry out will soon be buried when workers tear down the condemned building. Supposedly, the building had been shored up for an earthquake like this after the government flagged it as possibly dangerous, and inspectors gave the building a clean bill of health. Now, there are questions about those repairs. Prosecutors have already collected blueprints of the building as evidence in a possible legal case. Residents are demanding a thorough investigation.
从0206到现在，我们居住的天王星大楼一直都是安全的。在0403 7点58分，我们的大楼还是安全的，但是在第2次地震的时候，把它摇倒了。 我不知道是什么原因，我们也很想知道真相，不要对我们目前已经失去了安全的家园的2次伤害。
The delicate work of demolition has been slow. This is a built-up part of Hualien City, with nearby undamaged structures that need to be protected. There are structural complications too, and powerful aftershocks continue almost a week after the main earthquake, hampering progress.
余震的部分就是我们比较担心的，而且靠近这个立强分裂非常的近所以才会有赶快去装设这个型钢支撑，而且加设这个支柱。
The Tianwangqing building is one of only a handful damaged beyond repair in last week's earthquake. Reports around the world have praised Taiwan's building codes and disaster preparedness. But Tianwangxin's residents suspect the same institutions that kept damage to a minimum elsewhere may have failed them. Luffy Li and John Van Trieste for TaiwanPlus.
The opposition Kuomintang says more needs to be done to ensure buildings are made safer from earthquakes. Party representatives are calling for new measures, including inspections of older buildings and greater incentives to get people to voluntarily rebuild their homes in line with current rules. Building codes have been significantly improved since a 1999 earthquake that killed over 2,000 people. But the party says many homes and schools were built before then, and that the slow pace of retrofitting and urban reconstruction is putting the public at risk. Warships from the US, Japan, Australia, and the Philippines have carried out their first quadrilateral exercise in the South China Sea, aimed at keeping a, quote, free and open Indo-Pacific. China also conducted maritime patrols in the region, saying that the US and its allies are adding to tensions in the sea. Tensions have been mounting there, with Beijing continuing to harass Philippine vessels in the disputed waterway. The exercises come just days before the US, Japan, and the Philippines are due to meet in Washington for a summit focused on Indo-Pacific security. For more on the South China Sea tensions and what to expect from that summit, Jaime Ocon spoke to Ray Powell, a security analyst from the Sea Light Initiative at Stanford University.
So, Ray, I want to first start off with this quadrilateral exercise. We saw the United States, Japan, the Philippines, and now also Australia coming together for this drill. Can you explain the significance of that?
So I think, with the patrol itself, I think it was a target of opportunity for Australia. They had a ship in the area. They thought, we might as well. So I think, Australia doesn't spend a ton of time in the South China Sea. It is a long way north for them. But it was an opportunity, and so I think they decided to just take it. And the other countries were happy to expand the scope of the exercise. And taken together, it is to have these four countries operating together on a joint exercise in the South China Sea is significant. It is a show of unity and a show of force, and particularly given the Philippines' current security problems, I think it's very welcome in Manila.
We saw this maritime drill from the side of the United States and its allies and partners. But what about the Chinese side? China said that it also conducted patrols as well in the South China Sea.
Yeah, I don't read too much into. I think that the China announced theirs mostly just to sort of for show, so that they could say that they are doing something in response. There's no reason to think. I mean, the two groups didn't, as far as we can tell, come particularly close to one another. So I don't think there was ever any real danger of that. China certainly was paying attention, and so they wanted to show that they were doing something.
You've talked about the importance of this assertive transparency campaign from the Philippines to continue posting and sharing what it's experiencing in the South China Sea with the rest of the world. Is it safe to say that this campaign is working?
Well, I mean, so I think you're absolutely right that the Philippines, through its assertive transparency campaign, has earned this level of attention from the U.S. and its other allies. And I think that the U.S. and its allies want to make sure that the Philippines gets that message that, that actually it is worth it. It is worth it to go out and tell the world what's going on. And I think it's very unlikely that some of these things would be happening at all if the Philippines had not done this, right? If the South China Sea had sort of remained quiet, and none of the pictures had come out, and if they'd sort of suppressed the information as they had in the past, I think it's very unlikely that you'd be seeing a trilateral summit in Washington, D.C., or a quadrilateral naval patrol in the West Philippine Sea.
Are we seeing a shift in the alignment from the Philippines in terms of working more closely with the United States to deter and to kind of offset the challenges it's facing from China and the South China Sea?
Absolutely. I mean, I think that what the Philippines has realized is that under its previous policy, when it was sort of isolated in discussions with Beijing, Beijing took advantage of it and, sort of took advantage of the fact that if a big person, a 250-pound, muscle-bound man walks into a room with a 12-year-old, then the bully has, all the advantages and so can sort of take whatever he wants. And so now what the Philippines has done is increased its leverage and said, look, I've got big friends too. But now when you look at the Philippines, you don't just look at the smaller country. You can see that there are others standing by the Philippines, and that increases the Philippines' leverage. And that's really what the Philippines needs.
That was Ray Powell, a security analyst from the Sea Light Initiative at Stanford University, speaking to our reporter, Jaime Ocon. An expected meeting between Taiwan's former President Ma Ying-jeou and Chinese President Xi Jinping has apparently been delayed and may coincide with the U.S.-Japan-Philippines summit. Tiffany Wong takes a look at what that could mean.
Former Taiwanese President Ma Ying-jeou shaking hands with his compatriots in China. On a visit to Shanxi province, Ma was greeted warmly by fellow Taiwanese tourists. Ma is leading a group of Taiwanese students on a visit to cultural sites in China. During the trip, which is meant to emphasize peace between their two countries, Ma hopes to meet with Chinese President Xi Jinping, whom he's called an old friend.
如何努力保存这些典籍跟文物，这是我们两岸人民共同的任务。
Tensions across the strait are currently at a high as China intensifies its claims of sovereignty over Taiwan, just as the island nation is set to inaugurate a new president, whose policies are seen by Beijing as less than friendly. Ma was hoping to meet with Xi to cool tensions, and a friendly meeting between the two was expected on April 8th, but is now anticipated to happen on April 10th. There's been no official confirmation from either side, but if it happens, experts note that the meeting would coincide with the beginning of summits between the U.S., Japan, and the Philippines, which all share disputes on China's claims to the South China Sea, and may help Xi direct the narrative of this meeting.
Xi has not really done Ma any favors by moving this meeting, because it really just takes away from Ma's claims that this is about cross-strait friendship and leans much more into this broader geopolitical framing. But to most people, I don't know that they will actually lead to any sort of significant changes in cross-strait policy.
Ma and Xi have met once before in Singapore in 2015, when Ma was still president of Taiwan. But Ma's been out of office now for 8 years, and with no official role in his country, any meeting he has with a Chinese leader might not hold much weight on cross-strait relations, or any sway over geopolitical conflicts. Eason Chen and Tiffany Wong for TaiwanPlus.
U.S. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen has met with Chinese Premier Li Qiang in Beijing to discuss concerns about China's overproduction. Yellen reiterated U.S. concerns about China's overproduction of electric goods, saying China's excess industrial capacity impacts both China and global economies. Xi and Premier Li agreed that, quote, tough conversations over the past year have put the two countries' relationship in a more stable position.
As the world's two largest economies, we have a duty to our own countries and to the world to responsibly manage our complex relationship and to cooperate and show leadership on addressing pressing global challenges.
Australia, the United States, and the UK are set to begin talks on expanding their AUKUS defense pact. Defense ministers from the three countries will announce the expansion on Monday, with Japan among the countries expected to show interest in joining. The deal will open up what's known as Pillar 2 of AUKUS, which covers technology sharing and military cooperation. It does not include Pillar 1, designed to deliver nuclear-powered attack submarines to Australia. AUKUS was first announced in 2021 as part of Washington's efforts to enlist allies to counter China's growing military strength in the Indo-Pacific region. Huge crowds in central Taiwan have delayed this year's Dajia Mazu pilgrimage, a record 6 hours. Officials say a combination of street food vendors blocking the way and the large number of pilgrims surrounding Mazu's sedan caused the delay in Changhua County. This year's procession has attracted over 200,000 followers since setting off on Saturday. The Dajia Mazu pilgrimage is an annual event in Taiwan celebrating the sea goddess Mazu. Thank you for watching What's Up Taiwan. I'm Joyce. Take care and see you next time.